traveling radio show continues. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coulter Nuanez coming to you live from the Rockin' R Bar. Appreciate these guys for setting us up, and appreciate Blackfoot Communications for their second day in a row hosting a March Madness watch party. We've been hanging out here for a couple hours now. Nothing crazy that's happened in the tournament. I think a couple upset. Well, I shouldn't say that. No crazy result. The end of the Santa Clara game against Kentucky was absolutely crazy. We'll get into that. We'll get into some of the other stuff that's gone down so far here on the second day of the first round of the NCAA tournament. We also have a ton of interviews for you today. There's one college basketball team from the state of Montana that is a Division I team that is still playing. That's the Montana State women's basketball team. They know their opponent now. San Francisco ran through Utah Valley yesterday, so San Francisco coming to Bozeman on Sunday afternoon. That's a 2 p.m. tip in the second round of the WNIT. Caught up with Trisha Binford earlier today, so we'll talk with her. We're also going to talk some NFL, some NBA. We also have a national champion from the Montana State ski team. Justine LaMontagne joins us, as well as her coach, Chris Chapady. Montana State's had a couple national champions on the ski hill, but it hasn't been in 10 years, and there hasn't been a double dip ever in program history. Only the seventh woman to ever win two national championships at the same national championship ski meet. So we'll catch up with Justine and her coach a little bit later here in the show. Second hour, a whole bunch of spring football. We'll talk Grizz, we'll talk Bobcats, we'll hear from Taco Della from Montana State, we'll hear from Brett Deegan from Montana State. We'll have plenty of Grizz talk as well. Break down the Grizz receivers and the Grizz running backs as they are about to come out of spring break into the second half of their spring football. Montana State will start their spring football on Monday, so certainly a busy time of year, and we will hear from a couple of the central figures of the rivalry and in Division I football in the state of Montana. So looking forward to all that. Appreciate you for hanging. Thanks to Tommy and Hayden and all the boys back in Missoula for getting us on the air. Thanks to the Rockin' R Bar for setting us up. And thanks so much to Blackfoot Communications for their support of these watch parties. Blackfoot Communications has been connecting communities across Montana for more than 70 years. They have locations in both Missoula and they have locations all over the place. They have headquarters in both Missoula and Bozeman. Want to find out how Blackfoot can connect you and your business to your community? Visit blackfoot.com. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Day one yesterday of the NCAA tournament was certainly a fun one, certainly a raucous one. I think a lot of brackets got busted, particularly when High Point beat Wisconsin, VCU beat North Carolina, Gonzaga held on against Kennesaw State, but Georgia got run roughshod. So there was certainly a fair amount of upsets. I know I'm on the record as saying I didn't think there was going to be a crazy amount of upsets. I guess I probably misspoke when I said that. I thought there would be maybe a few double-digit seeds that advanced to the second round. I just didn't think there was going to be that many that advanced beyond that. But if I'm proven wrong, that's great, because guess what? That's fun times for everybody that's following along with the tournament. So here's where we're at thus far in the Eastern bracket. Duke was a 29.5-point favorite against Siena. They found themselves down 14 points in the second half, early on in the second half, but they rallied for a 71-65 win. So the top-seeded Blue Devils find a way to hang on. Yesterday's action got kicked off with TCU, a minor upset over Ohio State, 66-64. You also saw Louisville hang on and get it done against South Florida, 83-79. Michigan State, no trouble with North Dakota State, 92-67. In the west side of the bracket, earlier today, Long Island, no match for Arizona. Arizona ran them out of the gym, 92-58. High Point is on that side of the bracket. That was yesterday. They got a 1-point win over Wisconsin. Arkansas destroyed Hawaii, 97-78. Texas capitalizes on their play-in win over North Carolina State, and then they take out BYU. So A.J. DeBatsa, who's one of the best players in the country, he's the highest paid player in the United States. He's the top scorer in the country. As a freshman, he's projected as a lottery pick in the NBA draft. He's one and done, and Texas we see this every year, right? I should have told you that when I was giving you my pieces of advice when it comes to filling out a bracket. I thought that I cited that I think that veteran proven coaches are a key. How hot are you right now lately over the last 8 to 10? How have you been playing? I also think that having great guards is a huge part of it as well. But I also think that if you're one of those 11 seeds, that means the committee is basically challenging you to find your correct form, to find your, like a team like Texas, for example, had huge expectations coming into the season. The fact that they're an 11 seed playing in the play-in game means that they probably failed to meet those expectations. But if that team can find its footing, that team's going to be a hard team to beat. And I think that's what we saw yesterday with Texas against BYU. I know a lot of people were high on them. I mean, BYU was only a 1.5-point favorite as a 6 versus 11. So I think that's indicative. And I think Texas is going to be a handful for Gonzaga in the second round. Gonzaga, by the way, did emerge. They were in a dogfight with Kennesaw State, but they won 73-64. Then you go down to the Midwest. Howard was ready to run with Michigan, and when they were getting up and down and sort of hanging early, I thought, wow, this is a bad idea from Howard, because they're just not going to have the depth of the athletes to keep up. And that turned out to be true. Michigan ran them out of the gym, 101-80. St. Louis ran Georgia out of the gym. That was one of the most surprising results, 102-77 for the Billikens. So now they get the joy of taking on Michigan. Texas Tech, no trouble with Akron this morning, 91-71. Alabama destroyed Hofstra 90-70. So I think a lot of people had both Akron and Hofstra as potential upset picks. Not so much. Miami of Ohio, who was one of the darlings coming into this tournament, everybody was wondering if they were actually going to get in. They got sort of snubbed by having to play the play-in game, but they hit 16 threes against SMU and got it done. Well, then they've sort of run out of gas already here. It's about midway through the second half. Miami of Ohio trails Tennessee 62-39. So uphill sledding for the Redhawks moving forward. Wright State had Virginia on the ropes. They were leading early in the second half, but Virginia rallied and won 82-73. I mentioned the Kentucky-Santa Clara game. I'm totally burying the lead here, but I thought that was the game of the day so far. I mean, I know that was the game of the day so far. Kentucky was first of all, Kentucky had a go-ahead layup with about 15 seconds left. Then Santa Clara comes down. They hit a go-ahead three to go up 3. Then Kentucky comes down with 2.4 seconds left and a nearly full-court heave to then send the game into overtime. And Santa Clara then didn't have any ground to stand on. They ran out of gas, and Kentucky wins 89-84 in OT. So the Wildcats survive. Great upset bet from Santa Clara. You had to feel bad for them, because usually if you hit a go-ahead 3 with 2 seconds left, you're winning. But they did not win, and Kentucky moves on. Survive in advance, baby. That's what this time of year is all about. Kentucky will play Iowa State, who had no trouble with Tennessee State, ran them out of the building, 108-74. And then finally, in the last region, Florida's coming up at 7:25. They're the top seed in the South. Clemson and Iowa play here. They tip about 50 minutes from now, right around 5 o'clock. Vanderbilt survived against McNeese State. We already knew about Nebraska yesterday. We talked about them extensively. They just drubbed Troy 76-47. VCU, one of the upsets. They rallied from a 19-point deficit to win going away, 82-78 against North Carolina. Illinois absolutely hammered Penn, 105-70. Texas A&M, I know a lot of people had St. Mary's maybe winning that one, but the Power Conference team, they pull a quote-unquote upset, but they're the ones that get it done over St. Mary's, 63-50. And then in the nightcap, the Big Sky Conference representative, Idaho, takes on Houston. And, you know, obviously when it gets to this time of year, you're always sort of rooting for the Big Sky to show out well. I mean, it's the conference that we dedicate our lives to covering, and that are in our region, in our area. And you know, when it comes to the Montana teams, that's our neighbors and our friends. And so when they make it to the big dance, it's exciting, and you always hope that they do well. But I thought that Idaho had the worst draw of anybody in the entire first round. I think probably after it all played out, Penn and Tennessee State probably had something to say about that. Penn playing Illinois, Tennessee State playing Iowa State. But one of the most lopsided results of the first round came with Idaho taking on Houston. Vandals actually got out to a good lead. After the second media timeout, Idaho was winning. Then it all fell apart on them. Houston absolutely cranked it. Houston went down 14-10 about 8 minutes into the game, and they finished the first half up 48-24. Then the second half, they just outlasted Idaho. The final score 78-47, so Houston easily covers 23.5, which is what they were favored by. Idaho's over-under point total was set at 55.5, and they don't even come close to touching that. And the Vandals, I mean, a Cinderella year, a storybook year. And so for them, I think, in year 3 under Alex Pribble, as a team that came into the Big Sky tournament as the 7th seed, you're probably feeling pretty good about making it to the NCAA tournament, period. And I think you can probably rationalize getting drilled by a team that I think is going to go to the Final Four in Houston. But, when you look big picture about what it all means for the Big Sky Conference, we are now here officially 2 decades, 20 years since the last time a Big Sky team won a NCAA tournament game. Montana defeated Nevada way back in 2006. I mean, if you want to feel old, that was my freshman year of college, and here I am about to be 39 years old. So that was not recently, and it's certainly been a long drought, and I don't really know where the Big Sky goes from here, right? Idaho does have some pretty good young players. Colton Mitchell led the way last night. He's a kid from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. He had 14 points. He had 3 3-pointers. He played great. And I think he's a great example of why, if you are the Idaho schools or the Montana schools, you recruit in-state guys. Because he's from Coeur d'Alene. It's only a couple hours from Moscow. It means the world to him. He talked about that on this show during the Big Sky tournament. You look at a guy like Jack Rasmussen, who's from Meridian, from Boise, basically. He was the freshman of the year in the Big Sky. He struggled last night. He had just 5 points, went 2 of 8 from the floor. But that's a good get for Idaho. They have 3 guys in their starting lineup that are from the state. So it's a formula. That's the juxtaposition here, though, is it the formula for winning NCAA tournament games? It's a juxtaposition because as a coach, you have to get to the NCAA tournament first. So what is the formula that helps you most effectively run the table in the Big Sky Conference and get to the NCAA tournament? Well, that formula might be different than what it actually takes to win in the NCAA tournament. But is there a formula in which you can recruit to a level that you can win in the NCAA tournament? Right now, if you're a Big Sky Conference team, I don't know. I don't know what that formula is. It's terrible to say, but with a guy like Jack Rasmussen, who's a 6'7" freshman, who's from Meridian, and that's one of the main reasons why they got him to stay at Idaho. But a freshman of the year in the Big Sky, he's going to get 6-figure, maybe even 7-figure NIL deals. So how do you keep him home? Idaho doesn't have a stitch of NIL money. None. Nada. Squadouche. I think they got some deals with a taco place and a burger place in town. I don't think any of those players are getting paid anything. Not that that's that much different than the Big Sky Conference, but Montana has a couple guys that are getting some NIL money. Montana State's got a couple guys that are getting some NIL money. But either way, if you're Jack Rasmussen, you're going to get offered way more NIL money than probably even exists in the entire Big Sky Conference combined. So how does Idaho keep him? I don't know. I don't know where the league turns. I really do think the Big Sky is in one of the most precarious positions of any conference in the entire country. There are conferences that are producing 12, 13, 14, 15 seeds where those schools, like High Point, for example, VCU, for example, Wright State, who had a good performance even though they lost earlier today. They're not pouring pouring all their money. In fact, they're not pouring any of their right state against Virginia, by the way. They're not pouring all their money or any of their money into football. If you can have the flagship sport, the premier sport of your athletic department be basketball on either the women's or men's side, that's going to be the advantageous part, right? Like when you look at these schools that are coming in and getting similar seeds to what the Big Sky Conference champions get, but they're actually competing, what does that mean? Siena doesn't have football. They took Duke down to the wire. High Point doesn't have football. They took Duke down to the wire. You look at the schools that are these like 15, 14, 13 seeds. North Dakota State, they got football. What are they all about? Football. What do they do in the first round of the tournament? They lost by 35 to Michigan State. You look at a team like Idaho. What do they got? Football. What do they invest their money in? Football. And make it to this NCAA tournament. And again, I'm not putting any of this on Idaho. I think Idaho got the worst draw. I mean, it's not the most lopsided result of the first round, but Houston's about as tough a team to score against as you could find. 6 days before Houston played last night, they gave up 47 to Kansas. So Idaho scored the exact same amount as Kansas did against the Cougars. That's a bad matchup, period. So I'm not putting this on Idaho. I just don't know how you pivot to get to the point where you are a real big dance contender of the Big Sky Conference. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. We are coming to you from the Rocket R Bar here in Bozeman, Montana. Text from our good buddy Austin Tutel, who came and hung out yesterday. Appreciate the Oz man for coming down. He said the formula is athletic perimeter defenders, 3-and-D, at least one ball-dominating guard that can create his own shot, a sizable big man that can disrupt the defensive paint. That's how you win the Big Sky and hope to steal a game in the tournament. I fully agree. I just don't know how you keep that guy, right? Like Jack Rasmussen is at Idaho right now. He is a 6'8", 3-and-D type of guy who's a rim runner. He can stretch the court, but he can also protect the rim. But he just averaged 14 points per game as a true freshman, and he is at Idaho for now. Every agent on the West Coast is in this guy's ear. There's no question. He's going to be getting offered, again, more money than probably the entire Big Sky Conference has to offer cumulatively in basketball, right? Like a ball-dominant point guard. Montana's got it, and they have been able to, credit to Travis DeCuire and his staff, and also credit to Money Williams for staying, but they've been able to keep him. They've been able to keep Money Williams at Montana. Will that continue this year, though? Like, Money Williams turned down high six-figure offers last offseason. Everybody knows the story. He's beholden to Montana. He lost both his parents when he was a freshman. That was a tragic thing for him. But he's been able to find sort of a second family with the Montana coaching staff. I know he likes Missoula. He likes all the things Grizz basketball are about. But at some point, it's not beneficial for you and your present or your future to turn down six figures of income, especially if that's high six figures. $100,000 is a lot of money, but that's a debatable amount of money. If you're getting $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, it's life-changing money. If you're getting $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, now what are we even talking about? Like Malik Moore, who left Montana last year to go to Xavier, the dude got reportedly $850,000. I mean, it took me the first 10 years of my working career more to make $850,000. So you can get that one time, one lump sum. Okay, you can still say, okay, what about taxes? What about this? What about that? It doesn't matter, man. If you get handed that much money, you can put a down payment on multiple houses. You'd be set up for your life. I'm not saying you're going to never have to work again, but you have a foundation you can build upon that's going to make you be a functional, normal, middle-class person in America. So I just don't know how these Big Sky teams do it. We're up against it right now, so let's hear from the head coach of the last Division I basketball team that's playing in Montana, Trish Midford, the head coach of Montana State, joining us. Her team hosts San Francisco. I did this with Trish the day before they knew who they were hosting, so there's one question in here about preparing for an unknown opponent, but I thought it was still pertinent because she was preparing for an unknown opponent. Since Montana State got a bye in the WNIT, they were between Utah Valley and San Francisco. They know they're playing San Francisco, 2 p.m. in Bozeman on Sunday. Here is Tricia Binford here on Nuanez Now.
Well, we have one college basketball team that's continuing to play here from the state of Montana. It's the Montana State women, as they accepted an invite to the WNIT. The head coach of the Bobcats women's basketball, Tricia Binford, joins us now. Coach, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Doing great. Great to be here.
I know heartbreaking loss for you guys in the Big Sky Championship, but also what a great display of women's basketball. I mean, I thought it was an awesome game, hard fought, both teams tough as nails. So after getting a little bit to reflect, what are some of your thoughts and memories from that game and just the way it played out, and also just the fight that your team showed throughout?
Well, obviously a great fight in that fourth quarter, trying to give ourselves a chance. Really, I think everything stemmed back from not setting a great tone to begin with. Transition defense. Idaho got a lot of lanes here in transition. I think we can be a lot more solid there, forcing some things into the half court. That was probably a little bit of the battle. Obviously, them kind of plugging up the paint. I think moving forward, our point guard is just going to be really aggressive and not overthink anything and take deep jumpers. I'm like, those are great shots for us, but we just want to control pace, be the best version of ourselves, and see how long we can take this.
Well, it's cool to see the Big Sky has had multiple teams that are of like national repute recently, right? I mean, you guys have had some really great teams in recent years. NAU had multiple teams that were awesome. Idaho now seems like they're here to stay as long as Coach Arthur Marrera is there. So what have you, this day and age, mid-majors, it's so hard to sustain. What have you made of just the way that the Big Sky has been able to do that and have multiple teams in the top 70 of the net 3 years in a row?
Well, the big thing is we got to do a great job of making sure the rest of the nation knows about the Big Sky Conference.
Totally.
Bottom line, we're really grateful to be in the WNIT and that we got the automatic into that. But the WBIT needs to have a better radar of what's going on with our conference as a whole. If that's multiple years that we've been in those net ratings and we're doing our jobs as far as scheduling very hard in the preseason, I was preparing our team that we have done all that work. Now, we had losses with Troy and Oregon State. Oregon State was a one possession outcome. But most importantly, like you said, we've had teams that are under 100 in net ratings consistently year after year. And I think that speaks very well for our conference moving forward. And we've got to make sure we're advancing that.
And the bracketologists were talking about how two of Idaho's best wins was against Montana State. So that's impressive to say that it's conference wins, not necessarily even the non-conference, that are sort of pushing people forward. I'm sure you probably at least checked in on the selection show. When Colorado got a good seed, I thought, okay, that bodes well for Montana State and their continued season, because that was your guys' probably premier non-conference win when you won in Boulder. So how much do you think that did influence just the ability to continue to play now, just having a quad one win in your non-conference?
Well, honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I thought that quad win would have put us in the WBIT with having a 69 net, and I think we were a 45 RPI. I'm like, I know that they do factor in some head-to-heads, but, mid-majors, I'm like, I'm going to fight for mid-major respect and not to disrespect what's going on for Power Fours, because they play in a very difficult conference schedule year after year. But when you're getting a bullseye every single night and you're having to prove yourself and be that level of consistency, they're basically challenging us to be perfect. And I just think we need to consider teams being over 500 playing in the postseason. Of that to me is something that I will encourage and have a voice for teams that have had successful seasons. There's been other schools, and Ball State's a great example. I thought they had a really strong season as well. We are excited to play in the WNIT. This team should be playing in the postseason, and so we're going to take advantage of being grateful for that opportunity. But moving forward, I think mid-majors do need to have a voice on what it takes to be that level of consistency night after night.
Tricia Binford joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, Montana State women's basketball coach. So when it comes to pursuing these bids, how much are you as the head coach involved in that, or is it all administrative?
Mostly administrative. I'm like, they've been a bit ahead of the game. Leon's always one step ahead of every coach anyway. That's why he's so good at his job as an athletic director. And, he was the one making sure that we were set up for both options on the table. And, most importantly, the things that we can control, controlling your own destiny was, if we would have won in that championship game. And, these are the things that are set up for your strength of resume and the season that you've had. We've had a very consistent season, and so Leon was prepared for that. I think the rest of the administration is obviously taking care of facility space, making sure we reserve. We have an incredible team here, so I think everybody was ready to go for that.
What did you think of Idaho getting a 13 seed?
I mean, I think it's well deserved. I'm like, you got a very strong Big Sky Conference opponent in the postseason. We were a 13 last year, and I just we need to continue just really pushing the envelope here. We need to get more teams finding ways to make sure our preseason schedules are stronger. We need multiple teams that are finding ways to get those quad twos. I'm like, we weren't as great in the quad twos, quad threes. We had 0 quad 4 losses, but we need more teams advancing in those areas, so we do speak a little bit louder with our voice, because this conference is really strong, and I played in this conference and I'm proud of this conference. I just think we need to be a little bit louder. You get a little bit more of that Northwest, and I think sometimes basketball is not asleep over here, and we got to make sure that people are seeing what we're doing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw a map of all the Division I schools that are eligible for the NCAA tournament, men's and women's, and 80% of them are in either the Eastern or Central time zones, and then you have 3 dozen or less schools out west. So it seems like it's a little bit more challenging for schools out west to get exposure. But like you're saying, I mean, it seems like sort of collaboratively scheduling and challenging yourself in scheduling, those are sort of the things that can push you forward. Because it seems like for the Big Sky to make noise in the big dance, you're going to either have to have an unbelievable outing, but just getting that 12 seed and not having to play on the other team's home court, that just seems like something that could actually boost the league up.
Well, a neutral site is a big factor for sure. That's why you get different percentages outcomes in your nets for home wins versus away wins versus neutral. I like all those things come into play. So, we're going to keep doing what we need to do to have a strong schedule and control what we can control. So we know we need to get more consistent on the road. We know that our youth is going to continue growing and getting better, and that's how we're taking this approach right now. This is a new season for us. This is an opportunity for a young group to stick together and make sure that we get better, and that gives us a little bit of moving a needle prior to next season.
Talked to Addison Harris earlier today, and she was just talking about the sort of the rejuvenated mindset. You get your heart broken in the championship, but then you do get to play again, so you get to practice and you get to be together for another at least week or so, if not more, if you can string some more wins together. So how important do you think that is just for your young team, and what have you thought just the way that they have bounced back early on here in the week with another postseason game coming your way?
Well, number one, seasons are long. Basketball is probably the longest season of all the sports, and so it's definitely stretching a very young team of what that feels like, what that looks like to play into deep March. So I love that fact of how do you keep yourself mentally sharp, physically sharp? How do you stay engaged? How do you stay hungry? Definitely has felt like a new week after we kind of got situated, not getting into the WBIT, now taking advantage of this opportunity in the WNIT. I just think it's been a really great couple days. The biggest trick is not always knowing okay, well, when's the game? So because that might fluctuate which day I want to take off or how I might want to lift. So that's probably the biggest challenge and hurdle right now, with a little bit of that unknown. But grateful that we get a bye in this first round and get ready for that next matchup.
Tricia Memphis joining us here on Nuanez Now. How much can a team improve just with extra practice time?
Well, it's kind of like how people take advantage of an international tour that gives
Sure.
you 10 extra practices. So it depends on how deep of a run you make it, right? So, if you're one game, that was an extra week potentially, but you could take this into 2-3 weeks. And, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I'm like, there's really great teams in this tournament, different styles of teams too. So even the first 2 teams that we're focusing on right now, there's a couple different things that we haven't seen throughout the season, so that's all new. And now those are opportunities to work on. Well, this is how we would approach this and counter that. So I love that about this time of year.
Yeah, North Dakota State football had this for a long time, right? Because they'd get a bye and then they'd play all December, and by the time you stack it up for 10 years, you basically get an entire extra season of
sure.
work for
Yeah,
everybody.
it's crazy.
Right?
I'm like, that stuff matters.
Yeah,
Sure.
it definitely matters. Well, Utah Valley or San Francisco, those are the first round opponents that will play each other with the right to then take on Montana State. So one team from the WCC, one team from the WAC. How do you sort of go about preparing when you don't know which opponent you're going to play?
Yeah, so Sunny Smallwood oversees our scouting reports. So she pretty much divided the first two. So she's got one, Devin's got the other, and then Ryan's on one of the next if we're able to advance and get that far. I basically will focus on both and give just a few primary actions on both that I want to try to get in our practices. But we're gonna take Thursday off and watch that game. So that day off allows us to have an extra day prep work once we know who we're playing. So that's kind of our approach going into it.
Does that help you get like ahead of the game, especially with the players getting to watch it in real time, and then you go break it down and sort of take out the details that you want in your preparation?
Yeah, I mean, the early part right now is focusing more on yourselves. Okay,
Sure.
Let's take away from the Big Sky tournament. What are the big areas that we want to make sure we're improving in a couple areas? So we talked about 1% in a couple areas we want to get better going into this week where we got to focus on ourselves. But then there's just a couple of those actions that I've been throwing in and mixing in without them even realizing this is specific to San Francisco or Utah Valley. Friday and Saturday, and potentially, depending on when that game is, will be a lot more scout specific.
Well, potentially at least another chance to play at home. I'm pretty sure that you guys are going to get a home game when this all plays out. So if you do get another chance, how do you hope to embrace that? What do you just think of the opportunity to play in front of Bobcat Nation one more time?
Well, I can 100% confirm we are hosting.
Nice, great.
And we are waiting to hear date and time on that. So that part we just recently found out. I was confirming with Bill before this, like, can we announce that yet? So that part's super exciting. Probably will hopefully come out later today. I don't know. That's probably a Bill question. Do you know when, Bill, that will come out? No. And then we just got to get behind of getting that out to the public and getting ticket sales. What I love about the fact that we had the bye and we get to host is students will be back. So that would be huge too, just to make sure community gets behind this and takes advantage. I'm like, that was one of my comments in practice today. I'm like, we're deep in March. I'm like, I don't know if our fans have ever been able to watch us after the first week of March in Bozeman in the Brick. And so that's really exciting, especially this time of year.
Yeah, I was thinking that this might be like the latest in the season a game has ever been played at Brick Breeden Fieldhouse.
For sure, yeah.
March 21st or whatever it might be. That's pretty cool. So I know you've talked about the growth of your team all year long. What is the next step? What is the next part of growth you want to see now that they are sort of in a postseason scenario?
Well, the first one, like if you take a snapshot at as far as what the season looked like as a whole, and when we were talking about a quad 1 win versus no quad 4s, is that quad 2 and 3 area, I'm like, I would love to see us just be more consistent. And that goes from individual players to groups. I felt like we got some really good things at times from our bench. Tegan Erickson, I thought, had a great Big Sky tournament. Brianne was really starting to come on. Cadence is doing some things. I would love to see Brooke starting to get her legs back. I'm like, the bench, I think, is a huge piece that I think moving forward could really elevate our road success. Just that level of consistency. Rebounding is for sure a factor. And then just the leadership of, your Tailies and Addies and the voices, how we're kind of embracing some of those, that our youth in their leadership roles. I think that's huge. And then, next year will be slightly different because you're bringing a Dylan and Heidi back, and you're adding Maddie and an Emma in. So, those kind of pieces combined just gives you a whole nother level of depth and some experience back.
Well, last thing for you then, how do you hope your team just embraces this opportunity to keep on playing, and what's it going to take for you guys to move on in this tournament?
Well, number one is 1-0 on whatever day this is, right? So we want to go 1-0. We want to advance and get to say we've done something in Bobcat history that hasn't been done yet before, and that's winning in the postseason. So if we can continue just getting 1% better, focusing on going 1-0, I'd love to see what happens with this team.
Trish Binford here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Trish, appreciate it. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you soon, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, no worries.
Fun here from Tricia Bitford, and we'll see how her team fares as they take on San Francisco on Sunday afternoon. I actually am at the Rock and R Bar with a couple people from Montana State, so I'll find out broadcast info. I'm assuming, I mean, everything's on TV now. Heck, we're on TV live from a sports bar, 200-something miles away from our home studio. So I imagine it's on TV. I'll get you some broadcast info. On the other side, we will talk some skiing. National champion ×2, the same young lady, Justine Lamontagne from Quebec. First time since 2007 and the 7th woman ever to win both the slalom and giant slalom at the NCAA National Ski Championships. We'll hear from her and Montana State ski coach Chris Shapity. That's next. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Uh-oh. Fender bender? Did you hit a deer? Or something worse? Action Auto Body Missoula brings your car back to life. Their expert technicians use state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road fast. Insurance claims? No problem. Quality repairs? Guaranteed. When accidents happen, take action. Call Action Auto Body Missoula today. 406-728-9220. That's 406-728-9220. Or visit actionautobodymt.com. Action Auto Body Missoula, where Missoula's cars come back to life.
It's tournament time. Buzzer beaters, underdog stories, and the best deals at Bob Woods. Get off the couch and into the game at Montana's oldest sporting goods retailer. Baseball gloves, bats and cleats, soccer balls, shin guards, and training gear. Whether you're cutting down nets or cutting across the outfield, Bob Woods has the gear you need. Discounts on top name brands across every department. Savings in camping, fishing, and everything outdoors. Don't miss your shot. Shop Bob Woods, sports and outdoors, Montana style.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Coulter Nuanez from ESPN Montana here, and I can't tell you how much high-speed fiber internet from Blackfoot Communications has improved my life. It might sound simple, but having lightning-fast upload speeds lets me record video calls in 4K to use on our Nuanez Now radio and television show. It also allows us to produce content with world-class efficiency, and I can work from home even if my wife is streaming her HD TV. If you want to experience the fastest internet speeds possible, you need fiber internet from Blackfoot.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the uniquely designed and well-equipped 2024 Buick Encore GX with models starting at $28,895. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Encores and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Head over to Paradise Falls, Missoula's
It's easy to see
coolest
why
hotspot.
Montana is the
Montana's
treasure.
veterans
At the
answered the call.
University of Montana,
Now our
we
veteran
look
service
inside.
officers are here to
We see
answer
an old
theirs.
truth
Whether
with
it's
fresh
filing a
eyes.
claim, accessing
That
healthcare, or
Montana's
navigating
greatest
earned
treasure
benefits, you're not
is its
alone.
people.
Our VSOs
So whatever
provide
tomorrow
expert
brings,
guidance at
we
absolutely
need
no
it the
cost to
only
you.
way we
You
know
served
how.
our nation. Let
With a
us serve
mind
you.
for
Visit your
making.
local VSO
Because
today.
what's
For
made
more
in
information,
Montana
go to
is
veterans.mt.gov. Montana serving veterans.
Brought to you by Montana Veteran Affairs Division and this station.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. Welcome to tonight, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coming to you live from the Rock and R Bar, proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications. Blackfoot has been connecting communities across Montana for more than 70 years. Blackfoot has headquarters in both Missoula and Bozeman. If you'd like to find out how Blackfoot can connect you to your community, visit Blackfoot.com. Montana State has 54 national champions in its history between all the various different sports. That includes teams and individuals. They had not had a national champion skier for a decade until Justine Lamontagne double dip 2 in 3 days. Pretty impressive. We caught up with her and the head coach of Montana State women's skiing right now here on Nuanez Now.
We'll check it in with some skiing now as we have a not one but two-time national champion from Montana State, Justine Lamontagne, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Justine, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Well, you have to tell us about last week because it was the first national championship at Montana State in almost 20 years. And then 2 days later, you got another one. So you're probably feeling pretty good right now. But what did it take? What went into these two national championship runs you had last week?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Coming into it, I had a victory in the regionals and a second place. So I knew that was like possible for me. And for sure, like at the beginning of the year is always the goal to win one national champ. But I deep down felt like I could do both in GS and in slalom. So it was great to put it together.
For people who maybe don't understand skiing, compare and contrast slalom and giant slalom. Like, what are the biggest differences?
Yeah, I feel like visually you can see it. Giant slalom is 2 gates with a panel, and it's kind of a bigger turns. While slalom, you call it crossbuck. We like go through the gates, and it's shorter turns, usually a shorter hill, and yeah, quick turns. So that's the biggest difference between the two. Yeah.
So is it really hard to be great at both? Like, is one discipline different than the other, or is there translatable stuff?
I would say both. Like it is pretty different, but at the same time, it's the same. It's like skiing. So I thought I learned a little this year. Like one discipline gets better for me, it also helps my other one. But I know some people that's not maybe the case. They struggle more with one. I go kind of back and forth with my favorite one. Sometimes slalom is working better, and then sometimes GS is working better. Yeah.
Was there one that you had more confidence in coming into this national championship meet?
I would say giant slalom. I think I had a little bit more confidence I could do it. Slalom, I haven't trained as much this year. So yeah, definitely I had more confidence in GS, but I knew I could do it in slalom too.
Was there anything that indicated to you that you'd be able to put together such great runs though at nationals? Like beforehand, was there anything in your training or anything that led up to it that made you feel like, okay, this is the time for me?
Yeah, I feel like I had a pretty good season all around, just like coming into it. And also like the regionals at Bridger the week or a week and a half before, I had some great performance. It was like, I think going into it, I had that confidence building, but just kind of trusting my skiing and I knew I could do it. Yeah.
Justine Lamontagne joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. She's a skier from Montana State and recently won 2 national championships at the National Skiing Championships. So with the meet getting moved, the national championships getting moved, how did that impact the way you thought about this, or did it have an impact?
Yeah, for sure. I was like supposed to be my senior year, and like at Bridger, it would have been awesome, and my family was supposed to come out. But at the same time, like we want a fair race and we want good conditions, and that was the decision. We can do like much. Like I kind of learned it how it went, like it went out, and I was like, it's gonna be that. Like just like refocus and be like, it's a different hill, but I can still do it. Yeah.
When you did cross the finish line and you realized that you had the top time, I mean, what was that moment? What was that feeling like?
It was awesome. So there's like a bit of a second I wasn't sure what happened, and I instantly knew when people started cheering, especially the team, like they're so close on like the little barriers, and they just like went crazy. And I was like, okay, yeah, we made it. I feel like that was a great moment. Yeah.
Well, tell me about your time at Montana State. You're from Quebec, so just tell me about your path that led you to Bozeman.
Yeah, so I'm from Quebec originally, and after high school and after Cégep, we have a home after school. I was like, I think I want something new, and I kind of wanted to go out west. It was like something I wanted to ski in the mountains, and yeah, Chris recruited me, and it's been such a fun experience for the last 4 years. Yeah.
What was the main draw for you to come to Bozeman?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
What was the main draw for you to come to Bozeman? Like, what was the main factor that made you decide on Montana State?
I think it was the town. I like not too big of a city, and then how accessible it was to ski close to the school. Yeah.
A great ski town for sure. So, I mean, have you felt that? Obviously, you're competing all the time, but have you got to experience like the ski culture outside of the collegiate level there in Bozeman?
Definitely. Just like in class, people I like talk to, and there's a little bit of snow, and everyone's talking about skiing and what are you skiing this weekend? Big Sky Bridger. And it's cool that people like want to go out and ski, and not just even skiing, biking this summer, and just want to be outdoors. And I thought it was like such a good fit for me. Yeah.
People think Canada, I think they think of skiing, but like, what was your home mountain growing up? Like, where did you learn to ski?
I learned to ski in Mont Saint Anne. That's actually where I live. So I grew up like just at the bottom of the hill, just like skiing, night skiing, just all the time. Yeah.
Well, it's awesome. Well, I mean, so much work goes into this. So have you thought about the whole arc of this? Because I'm sure you probably started doing this when you were a little kid, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's kind of crazy to think like now I'm like in the US, and even 4 years ago when I decided to come here, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So there's definitely like looking back, I'm like, oh wow, it's cool. And also like building up to that fourth year and compete, like achieving this my senior year was really, really awesome.
Well, that's super awesome. How about school-wise? What are you going to school for?
I'm in environmental engineering right now.
Nice. So how has that been going? And I mean, that obviously probably was a big draw too. Montana State being a premier engineering school.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the big thing coming here is like they had my program, and environmental engineering is pretty new, and having that like here was actually like something I was looking forward to. It's been quite challenging. I think it's a lot of hours, and engineering can be really, really challenging. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and I always wanted to ski and do school at the same time. It's been like such a big thing for me, so I'm really glad I got to do both.
Well, now here you are, and you have, I think, 6 All-American nods and a couple national championships. So have you thought about this, like your place in Montana State skiing history?
Like, no, really, I feel like I didn't really know, and I didn't really look at the history before, like to know. But then when it came out, like, oh my God, like it's the first time, like 6-time All-American and double champ. And I was like, that's cool. That's the legacy I want to leave when I graduate.
Well, very cool. I mean, what will you take away from this? Like, what does this taught you? What is the experience at Montana State and all this training and all the championships? What does that taught you?
Yeah, I think it work hard and also have fun. And I feel like sharing that with teammates in the 4 years, that's why I learned too. Like skiing can be like such a team sport, and like supporting each other, and also like it just have fun. College is so fun, and you get to ski with your best friends and support everyone. Everyone's cheering all the time, even from other schools. So I think it's really, really special.
Well, very cool. And we appreciate you sharing some of your story with us here on Nuanez Now. And congratulations again. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Couple national championships by the same young lady at Montana State. Pretty cool accomplishment on the ski hill this last week. Checking in now with Montana State skiing coach Chris Champagny. Chris, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First of all, tell us about Justine and her great runs. I mean, I guess first of all, compare and contrast the slalom and the giant slalom. Like, how difficult is that to be national championship caliber elite at both of those events?
Yeah, it's not easy. A lot of times athletes are kind of a more specific in one discipline than the other, but Justine's very good in both. So for her to get both those national championship titles, it kind of fell right into her wheelhouse. Her first runs is really what solidified it for her. I mean, she went out of the gate on those first runs and really brought another level to the field of competition, and that gave her the cushion she needed to not hang on, because she put more time on the field on the second runs, but really gave her the confidence for those second runs when conditions got a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, put that in perspective for people just that maybe don't follow skiing that much, because if you looked at the leaderboard, I mean, she was above second place by as much as then like second to 10th was basically. I mean, it was pretty dominant, her times in both events. So, I mean, what can you say about that? What went into her dominating at such a high level?
I think it comes down to her, the training she's had leading up to the events. Justine, she probably told you, she's on the Canadian World Cup team for giant slalom. So she had quite a bit of volume coming in and a lot of races coming in that are pretty challenging under her belt. And the biggest thing we had to do was just kind of let her rest, because she was kind of burned out after the end of the World Cup season for her, and just let her kind of come in fresh. And it showed on those first runs that she brought the experience from racing on the World Cup to that race, the nerves that come with that. And also starting an NCAA championship really showed that she was ready for it on those first runs, excuse me.
Is there anything that particularly within her training or her development that you thought really put her over the top? Because I know she's been an All-American before. Like, what was the difference? How would she close the gap to become a national champion?
I think her mental approach has changed a lot in the last couple of years to the sport. There's been times in the past where she was in a position to become national champion. I think in Lake Placid, her freshman year was one of those. And then, coming in to the following year in Steamboat, the nerves were showing a little bit more for her. And just having a little more time to develop and mature as an athlete and kind of get your head around the mental side of the sport a little bit more. This was the year that it really showed for her that she's had the experience, she's had the time to develop and mature in our program and with the Canadian team to put the performances down she did at the national championships this year.
Chris Anthony, the head coach of the Montana State ski team, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. How does that relationship work? Just the balance between her, being on an international team and also being on a college ski team. Like, how do you sort of accentuate each other when it comes to the training and all that sort of stuff?
Well, we try to work complementary with the Canadian team as much as we can, and communicate with the coaches as much as we can. Her preparation season in the summer with the camps with the national team, give her a lot of time on snow and preparing for the winter season. And then when she comes back with us in the fall for the limited time she's here, we continue her strength and conditioning. We continue her development there in the dryland component of our sport. And then, we kind of hand her back off with the Canadian team and they manage her, her time with the races she's doing. But when she comes back to us, she's with us 100% full on. And, we know what she's done. They know what we've done with her as far as her training and her planning goes. And so hopefully it's seamless for her. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but we try to work with them as closely as possible with these athletes like Justine in these national team programs. So,
was there anything that you saw in the weeks or months leading up to the national championships that you thought, okay, wow, if she puts it together, she's gonna be on top of the podium?
Yeah, I mean, following her World Cup season was pretty cool to see her progress and be pretty close. In World Cup, only top 30 get a second run, and she's starting outside that top 30 trying to break in. And seeing her get top 30s on the first run, getting into the second run, that's a huge mental hurdle in itself right there. It's not everybody at that level they're great skiers. It's just the mental component to get yourself into that second run and bring the speed on those first runs. And, that's what I think really showed her performance at NCAAs was putting down those first runs and separating herself from the field came from her experience at the World Cups trying to do that. And then also seeing her, race a slalom, her first World Cup slalom race, go from bib 56 to 17th on the first run, just kind of solidified her slalom prowess too in that discipline. Her coming in with those under her belt, giving her some rest time, leading up to the championships so she could bring her best during the week, I think was really important for her and for the team itself. So
it's been almost 20 years. 2007 last time a Montana State skier won a national championship, and then she does it twice. So what's this mean to your program?
It's pretty large. I think 2016 was when we won.
2016, okay.
Yeah, 2016 with Bernadette Leacha. Won a national championship in giant slalom, but it's huge,
But maybe it was slalom that was the first time since 2000. Yeah. Okay, regardless, it's a big deal to win a national championship either way, right?
Having only, her only being the third alpine athlete since, the 1970s when Dan Brailsford did it is pretty cool. And having her win two is so big for our program, and it's amazing the amount of emails I've gotten from potential recruits in the last week since the championships have finished, reaching out and seeing the success of Justine and the team at NCAAs. I think it's just going to kind of springboard us forward for future years with bringing in, better athletes, higher caliber skiers from all over the world, the U.S., Canada, and Europe. So.
When you first recruited her, did you see this in her? Like, did you see the potential to achieve this level?
It was funny. I got a phone call from her coach, who I had worked with when I was coaching the U.S. ski team. He was a Canadian coach at the time, and he called me and said, "There's this girl. She's really good, And she just needs a good coach and a place to land that's going to support her in her goals, because she's not going to make their national team right away, but she needs time to mature. And I watched her ski. I think we were in Sugarloaf, Maine at U.S. Nationals, and she was quite good. And I was like, all right, I'll give her a call and talk to her. So we could kind of see it coming. And then over the years, as she's matured and developed as an athlete, we've really kind of saw her speed come to light, and it just all came together in this last week. So it was really neat to see.
Definitely super neat to see. So where do you think, I mean, this has to solidify her as an all-time great there at Montana State. So but that also must be pretty cool just for the history and the lineage of your program.
Yeah, I think, being a 6-time All-American, that's the most any athlete, I think maybe any athlete at MSU has ever been as an All-American. And then also a double national champion is something that we have never seen. So she by far is the best female skier we've ever had, or best skier we've ever had at MSU across both genders.
Well, that's pretty dang cool for her and for you and for Montana State as a whole. Anything else to add on, Justine, before we get you out of here?
Oh, she's just a great kid all around, She's a great student, great athlete, great person. She's fun to hang out with, great sense of humor. She's just an all around good person. And those are the kind of people we like to bring in at MSU, because they just add so much value to our team and the culture of the school and the athletic department that, it can't be matched.
Well, it's awesome for you guys. Congratulations again. Chris Champagny joining us here on Nuanez Now. Appreciate you being here, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Montana's largest sports cards and collectibles show.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Sorry for the delay there. My AI camera was going crazy. It was pointing at the ceiling, spinning around. Technology at its finest. Appreciate you for hanging. Thanks so much for being here. We're up against it, so I'll give you a quick update, and then we'll take one more break, and then hour number 2 will be coming your way. One of my upset specials, I mean, it's not that bold of a prediction when you got a 9 seed beating an 8 seed, but I had Utah State over Villanova. That result held 86-76. Aggies moving on. They have the unenviable task of taking on Arizona, who's one of the national championship favorites. The other one that a lot of people had their eye on was Miami of Ohio, coming off their play-in win where they hit 16 three-pointers against SMU. But they didn't have much in the bag today. Tennessee, no trouble, 78-56. So Tennessee and Virginia will play in the second round of that Midwest region. We'll give you a full update on everybody that's punched tickets to the second round thus far and give you an update on these games that are starting out right now. Iowa-Clemson is underway, and a couple more games coming your way, including Kansas still has a couple hours until they tip. UConn tips in the late-night game. UCLA-UCF, which might have a little juice. I like the 10-seed UCF in that one. And Missouri versus Miami. That one also might have a little upset juice as well. Another 10 over a 7. We'll break down all that. Plus, we'll talk some spring football. Bobcats, Grizz, and whatever else we get to. Hour 1 in the books, hour 2 coming at you. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Design Center, your jeweler for life.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the first time since 1986, the Sentinel Spartans are the state champions of Class AA boys basketball. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. Behind the overtime heroics of senior star Lincoln Rogers, the Spartans won 3 games in 3 days, including outlasting Billings West in overtime in the state championship game in the Magic City Saturday. Sentinel's 47-46 win came thanks in part to a step-back three-pointer from Rogers with 13 seconds left that gave the Spartans the 1-point advantage and etched the Sentinel Southpaw in Montana lore forever. Rogers finished with 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 blocks, and Sentinel ended the season with a 19-3 record that included its 4th state title in school history. Missoula schools fared well this weekend as Big Sky rallied to take 3rd place in girls and boys AA, each Eagles team defeating Hillgate for the trophies. Frenchtown's boys took home 3rd place in Class A, earning a trophy for the first time since 2006. In Class B, Missoula Loyola's girls rallied through the losers bracket after losing in overtime to Malta in the semis. The Breakers beat Florence for 3rd place. In Class AA girls, Bozeman Gallatin capped its undefeated title defense with a resounding 58-41 win over Billings West to finish 22-0 with a 2nd consecutive state title. In Class A, Billings Central's boys rolled Dillon to deny the Beavers a 3rd straight state title, and Havers girls put the clamps down on Billings Central to deny the Rams a 3rd straight state title. Tune in to Nuanez Now at 4 p.m. each weekday on 102.9 FM ESPN Radio.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
How's those brackets doing? Honestly, there's some busters that's gone on, but not a crazy amount. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But we are into the portion of the first round where now it's the 2nd session of the 2nd day. So basically the 4th session of the first round, and there could be some ones coming your way. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Thanks to the great folks here at the Rocket R Bar for setting us up. Rocket R Bar, an institution in downtown Bozeman. I was actually telling the guys at Blackfoot Communications earlier, because one of them was asking me, how'd you get into doing daily radio, daily podcasts, etc.? And I said we actually started our podcast way back in 2012. The Big Sky Breakdown podcast originated at the Rocket R Bar. The very first episodes we did it on a little RCA hand recorder. Cost me like $40. Bought it at Radio Shack. We used to do it in the back corner right over here at the Rocket R Bar, and then we'd mix it down and produce it. I remember like our first couple episodes, we got like 67, 74, 82 listens. And we thought that was great. We weren't getting any money out of it. I remember the great people that own the R Bar here, Mike Hope and his crew. Mike used to say, yeah, come do it here. We love it. We're supporting what you do. And, we'll give you some burgers and fries if you give us shout-outs. And we thought that was a heck of a deal. And then we kept building it up, and here we are 14 years later. We got a statewide radio and TV show, and we got millions of people listening across the world. I'm Coulter Nuanez. We're coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has construction roll-off boxes for your construction project. They get them to you fast, 24 hours or less. Don't wait days or even weeks. Get it to you right now. You can get your construction roll-off box from Grizzly Disposal by visiting grizzlydisposal.com or calling 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you missed any in the first hour of the show, give you a rundown of what's going down here in the NCAA tournament. Talked some different storylines. Talked about Idaho taking it on the chin against Houston. What's it going to take for a Big Sky team to get a victory? We also heard from Patricia Binford, the head coach of Montana State's women's basketball. They're the last Division I team from the state of Montana that remains alive. They play in the WNIT on Sunday against San Francisco. We also heard from Justine Lamontagne as well as Chris Chapady from Montana State Skiing. Both of them celebrating Justine's national championship ×2. She won it in the slalom and the giant slalom. Pretty cool accomplishment. It's the 7th woman in NCAA skiing history to do a double dip and win both of those. All of it on the Nuanez Now podcast. Available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe, and appreciate everybody that's listening in on the pod. Your finals from the first half of today. Arizona, boat race Long Island, 92-58. I had Idaho in the Marbar Calcutta, not because I thought they were going to win, but because there was a payout for biggest loss. Well, several teams put that out in the stratosphere. Idaho lost by 31. I figured Idaho would lose between 30 and 35. 31, I thought would be in the mix. Well, Arizona beat Long Island 92-58. So do the math real quick there. That's 44. So that's a lot more than 31. Iowa State drilled Tennessee State 108-74. So that's another 34 points there. Alabama beat Hofstra 90-70. So Idaho was better than that, or worse than that, I guess. But that's still a lofty point total. Texas Tech beat Akron 91-71. Tennessee boat raced Miami of Ohio 78-56. So there's been some lopsided games so far. There's been some good ones. There's also been some completely no contest games. Other scores from today, though, besides those ones we just named, Virginia was down to Wright State 43-38 at halftime, but the Cavaliers rally. They get their 30th win, 82-73, so they're moving on. Texas Tech, we mentioned that, but they no trouble with Akron, 91-71. Tennessee, no trouble with Miami of Ohio. Kentucky and Santa Clara, craziest game of the day so far. Santa Clara hit a go-ahead 3 with about 5 seconds to go, and then with 2.4 seconds to go, Kentucky hit a absolute prayer from right inside the half-court line. Bank shot and a beauty to send it to overtime. And then the Wildcats won the OT period 16-11, so they win 89-84 in OT. That was the first NCAA tournament appearance for Santa Clara since Steve Nash was playing there 30 years ago. Pretty crazy, actually, that Santa Clara got a 10 seed, having not been in the NCAA tournament for 30 years. But then they figure out a way to push Kentucky all the way down the brink. But a heartbreaking loss. Kentucky's been one of the most disappointing teams in the country so far this year. But those are the teams that are scary, right? Like, that's why you have to watch out for Kentucky, Tennessee. If North Carolina would have won, but of course they disappointed yesterday. They lost to VCU. But there's some teams that were, Texas is in that mold, where you were supposed to be good. Like, you were in the preseason top 15, preseason top 20. It didn't go your way, but because of the conference you're in, you still sneak into the NCAA tournament. I mean, like, Kentucky got like 7th or 8th in the SEC. They're 22-13. I mean, they lost a bunch of games. But because they're in the SEC, that gets them an at-large bid. But sometimes teams like that, they want to just fade. They want to just go away. They want to be done. Other times, teams like that, though, they're into it, and maybe it's new life. That's what I feel about Texas, right? You sneak in, you luck out, you get into the tournament, but then you win a game, get your feet under you. Now you're feeling frisky. Then you go beat BYU. Okay, now you're in the second round. Why not us? Like, we've seen this with UCLA a couple times where they're double-digit seeds and then they make a run. So those are the teams I'd be weary of, are the teams that snuck in but then found their footing and now all of a sudden have re-engendered confidence, and they're battle-tested because of the leagues they played in. Those are teams that certainly be weary of. Your night slate includes the following. Iowa is up 22-10 over Clemson, and you still have to tip St. John's and Northern Iowa's coming up here in just a quick minute, as is UCLA versus UCF, that's Central Florida. Purdue versus Queens University is at 5:35. And then you got Prairie View A&M versus Florida Kansas versus Cal Baptist, UConn versus Furman, and Miami versus Missouri. In terms of what I like in all of these, I think it's pretty much chalk, except for Central Florida's pretty good. They climbed pretty high this year, and then they're the same mold, right? Teams that I'm talking about. If you got an at-large, you get a 10 seed. That means you were supposed to be good, probably, and then you had some lulls. But then either you rallied to get in, or you got in because the committee knew you were good, even if you're really not that. Even if you didn't have that good of a year, right? That's UCF. They're 21-11. UCLA is 23-11. UCLA is all sorts of banged up. I like UCF in that game to cover. They're 5.5-point dogs, and I might actually even take a flyer on them to win. The other one I like is Missouri versus Miami. Missouri's been all sorts of up and down. They have not had that great of a year. They're only 20-12, but that game is in St. Louis. Miami has been good, but they had like a dip at the end of the year. But that's even money. So I just think it's Miami's favored by 1 point in Vegas. So if you're talking basically a coin flip game, it's going to be more of a home court advantage for Missouri than maybe any other team that is playing in this second session of this second day. So I tend to lead towards stuff like that. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks to our great friends at Blackfoot Communications for hosting this watch party here at the Rocket R Bar. Rocket R Bar, an institution in downtown Bozeman. I know most of you that are listening on the radio, you're not going to make it over here to the Rocket Hour. But for those that are watching on the stream, or listening on the stream, on SWX, whatever, we are down here. I'll be hanging out for the foreseeable future. So if you want to come hang out with me, I'll buy you a beer. Come on down. And appreciate these guys for setting us up. Also appreciate Blackfoot Communications for hosting these watch parties. Blackfoot has been connecting communities across Montana for more than 70 years. Want to find out how Blackfoot can connect you and your business to the local community? Visit blackfoot.com. Spring football talk here on Nuanez Now. I find the receiver groups for each the Cats and the Grizz to be fascinating, because if you look at the Grizzlies, who are in the middle part of spring ball, they're on spring break right now, but they'll come back for spring ball next week. They have a ton of talent to replace from the receiver position, but they had that same narrative last year, right? 2 years ago, they had Junior Bergen, Keelan White, Sawyer Roccanelli, Aaron Fonts, 4 really good seniors who sort of led the way. And that was a big point of concern coming into last year. How are you going to be comparable or better production-wise than you were with those guys? Well, Montana was statistically literally twice as good production-wise last year at wide receiver as they were this year, because they brought in guys like Michael Wortham. Drew Deck had a breakout year. They were objectively just really good last year at wide receiver. Corbin Hendricks showed flashes. He's back now this year. I think he has a chance to be a really good player. McKeldrick Bridges was supposed to get some time. He had the fumble against Cal Poly, which sort of got him doghouse, but he didn't leave. I thought he was a guy that was a candidate to leave, and he didn't. So, he's a guy that's burner. He's got over-the-top speed. Cameron Guernsey got word the other day that he actually might have got hurt during spring ball. We'll confirm that when we can. But sounds like he's probably going to be out for the foreseeable future. That's a bummer. He's a kid from Montana, from Butte. Dad is Scott Guernsey, who was a great receiver for the Grizz back in the early 1990s. But he was a guy that had a ton of potential. Jordan Deaver made some plays last year as well. And then a guy that Bobby Kennedy talked about specifically during his press conference early in spring ball. The Montana head coach singled out Legend Lyon, who is a transfer from Minnesota. He was a 3-star recruit out of high school. He's got good size. I think they really like him. And I think he's a guy that could make waves, could make an impact. On the Montana State side of things, it's actually funny because Taco Dowler was the leading receiver. Everybody knows that. He's one of the biggest names in Montana right now. Dane Steele had, the highlight play of the national championship game, so he became a household name. Jabez Woods had the huge touchdown against Northern Arizona, and he put up numbers as a freshman. But actually, the starting receivers last year were Chris Long, Ryan King, and Taco Dowler. Long and King both made some plays. Long particularly. King was more of like a blocking type of guy. But they were the starters. So Dane Steele and Jabez Woods had better numbers than Chris Long and Ryan King. But now you get Long and King graduating, which assumedly means more snaps for Steele and Woods and maybe some of the other Bobcat receivers as well. Other guys that could fit in the mix in that room. Brett Vigen mentioned in his press conference Devontae King, who's the rare guy who enters the portal and then exits the portal and comes back to his same team. King was a standout in spring ball last year, so I think he's a guy that could make some waves. He's huge. He's 6'4", 220, so that's a guy that could certainly stand out. And then Jordan Reed's another really, really intriguing prospect. Reed was a quarterback coming out of high school, and then he sort of was stuck behind Tommy Millott at the quarterback, and Sean Chambers too, at the quarterback spot. Then he blew his knee, and that sort of set him back. Then he came back, and he was still trying to find his way at quarterback, but then Justin Lamson enters the picture, and Patrick Duchesne sort of emerges, and Jordan Reed is sort of a man out of a job. But he wanted to stay at Montana State, and so instead of transferring, he said, let's see what we can do here. He switched to receiver. Well, he was coming off another injury last year, so he didn't really have a lot of time to develop. But the dude's a great athlete. He's 6'6", 230, so he's huge. Vigen made sure to point him out and specifically talk about Jordan Reed during his press conference last week. We're going to hear from Brett Vigen a little later on. Nuanez Now live from the Rocket R Bar in Bozeman. Caught up with Taco Dowler earlier this month to talk about the national championship run and his upcoming summer camps. Here is one of Montana State's senior stars.
Our offseason coverage of Montana State's national championship continues. We're going to have tons of hits, including catching up with as many of the Montana State assistant coaches as we can, because I think their perspective on this run is awesome. But we're also going to get with as many of the star players and captains from the Bobcats as well. It's a little bit interesting after the game because you get to have a press conference, but there's a million people in there, and it's like 5 minutes long, so you don't get to get any in-depth stuff. So we're happy to have Taco Dowler here, both to talk national championship, but also to help talk about these guys at camps. Him and Adam Jones delving into another summer worth of camps here. They'll have a whole slate in June. We'll tell you a little bit more about that a little later on, but happy to be with you, man. How you doing? Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm great. Still haven't woken up, but yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, it's funny because, the post-game presser, the first question you get asked is about your name, and you're like, well, what about winning the Natty, man? Can we talk about this? So I'm glad we were able to turn the page on that quickly in that post-game. But now that it's had a couple weeks to settle in, and not only have you celebrated on the field in Nashville, but you've had the parade, and you got to see the banner come down in the brick. Has it sunk in yet? I mean, how are you feeling knowing that you're a national champion?
Yeah, I think that it's amazing. Obviously, that's every team's goal, is to be a national champ at the end of the year, and we accomplished it, and that's awesome. But at some point, we do have to turn the page and try to move on, and it's hard to do that, definitely. Especially, it's hard to get a whole team to do that and a whole culture to buy into to move on, because it is such an amazing feat, and it's awesome. I mean, you got to celebrate it a little bit.
You absolutely do. But Coach Vigen, especially like down the stretch and in the aftermath of the national championship, he talked about pretty frequently about that day when you guys were sitting there after last year's national championship, like the first team meeting. And like you said, there's a lot of empty seats and everybody's looking around. Okay, let's how are we going to do this? But you guys came together so quickly as a team. So first of all, tell us about that dynamic. And second of all, how do you sort of replicate that dynamic now that you guys have gotten to the top of the mountain?
Yeah, that day last year was really eye-opening, and it was like, wow, like we had 23 seniors leave, I think, and we got hit big by the portal. So we were like, oh my gosh, like what are we going to do? But Coach Vigen was calm the whole time, and that was super big for us. And I think that seeing his calm demeanor had us all trust him really well, and look what he did. And he's a great leader of men. And I mean, this year it's kind of flipped to where the portal didn't kill us. A lot of us chose to come back, and you have to have the same mindset, and you still have to trust Coach Vigen and trust that he's going to lead us the right way. And I think that that's just the main parallel I've drawn, is just Coach Vigen. You got to trust him. He's so amazing, and yeah, not enough good things to say about him.
One thing that I have really appreciated the last couple of years is because we've seen college football be influenced by so many different factors and so much player movement and all that. But look at the teams that are still winning at the highest level. They're the teams that are teams, right? Like you can have all this fancy talent. You can have a quarterback that's making $6 million like Miami did, and it can get you pretty far. But like look at Indiana. Indiana was the best team. Like they don't have more talent than Oregon or Alabama, but they have the most experience. They have the best coach. They have the most togetherness. Like you guys, you're a really talented group, but it was the cohesiveness that gets you over the top. That must make you feel good because it seems like you're a guy that has stayed and committed to Montana State because you enjoy that part of it. So how much do you think that part has been a key to your guys' success?
I think it's everything to us. We always preach the little things, and that's exactly what you're talking about is the little things. It's, of course, there's talent. You need talent to win a national championship, but it's the little things like the breathing work that we do, the mental stuff that we do, the hard training we do in the summer, all the stuff that tests your brain, and all the little things like the conversations we have at the lunch table during fall camp. Like Coach Vegan is really big on us liking each other and enjoying each other, and we really are a big group of brothers. And I think that's so important in a team, and I think that he understands that and really preaches it, and he practices it too with the coaching staff. They all like each other, and there's just a bunch of respect for everyone in this program, and it's awesome. I love it here.
Well, it seems like that's where the offseason training comes in big time too, right? Because you get to see what the guy next to you is willing to sacrifice, right? It seems like that helps bring you guys even closer together.
Yeah, I mean, right when you say that, I think of the Steele brothers. That's exactly how Dane Steele's making his name is.
Right.
Him and Rocky Lencioni have had great off seasons, and you can kind of see who's going to emerge the next year just based off the winter training block and the summer training block. And yeah, that's a big reason why those two in particular have taken off and helped us win a national championship is because of the work that they put in this period of the year.
And Sean Herron also deserves a ton of credit. I mean, the way he's been able to guide you guys, the consistency, the day in, day out. So how would you just describe the impact he's had on you guys as athletes?
Yeah, he's the glue to our program. He's a great man, just like Coach Vegan, and he practices what he preaches. And he's a great father, great husband, and I mean that's so admirable. And he takes on a lot more than a lot of strength coaches take on, and he has a lot of freedom in what he does because he's built that trust. And Coach Vegan lets him do what he's trained to do, and he just takes it and runs with it and excels at what he does, and he loves what he does. So. Yeah, him and Coach Vegan are I'll say it again. I can't say enough good things about those two.
One thing that Titan Fleischman and I were talking about was how Herron, even though he played at an NIIA level at Carroll, he understands what it takes to be not just a national champion, but a multiple-time national champion. Does that influence you guys too, the fact that he's sort of been there and done that and performed at a national championship level himself?
Yeah, he knows how to win. And I think that taking advice from winners is good, and he doesn't have an ego. He always is wanting to learn how his program could get better. He's always asking us for our input, and he just has no ego. He's an awesome coach and has so much respect in this building. And yeah, I think that's a huge reason why we win is him.
Well, when it comes to your memories of the actual national championship game, have you watched it back? Like, have you watched the film or the replays or anything?
I didn't watch the TV copy, but I watched the film, yeah.
So what did you think? I mean, just watching it all play out and just sort of analyzing the whole performance as a whole and then the celebration at the end.
Yeah, no, it's sweet. It's cool. It's fun. Because throughout the whole season, you watch film with a super critical eye because you have another game coming up and you need to get better. But when we were watching film of this game, you're like, there's no next game, and we know we won. So it's like, I don't know, you can laugh a little bit if you messed up or had a missed assignment partially. Like you can kind of be like, oh God, got away with that one. But it was a little bit different watching it from that perspective, knowing we did win. But no, it was. You feel the emotions definitely watching it over again. It was pretty cool.
Well, when being at the Brick last weekend for the rivalry games, watching the national championship banner come down, for me, that was when I was like, wow, this is real. Like, obviously, we were there. We saw you guys celebrate in Nashville, all that stuff. But, like, that is the moment where you're like, wow. Like, I've been looking at these banners up here for 20-something years, and now there's a new football one. And there's never has been a new football one. That, to me, was the moment where I was like, wow, it really sunk in. Was there a moment for you there it's like, wow, we actually did this? We actually reached the top?
Yeah, so I went to Mexico with my fiance and her family from Nashville. So we left the next day. So I kind of got away and just let it be for a little while. And so I'd say coming back to Bozeman and going out to eat and people driving downtown screaming taco out the window, like that's when it sank in for me. I was like, holy cow, like what did we just do? This is sweet. And it's really cool because you get to bring that joy back to so many people that have been fans for so long, and there's a drought. I mean, we hadn't won in 4 decades, so bringing it back to them and bringing it back to the community is so cool to see. So once I got back to Bozeman and the community is kind of when it sunk in.
Yeah, it was super cool being at that players reunion on Sunday before the game. I talked to a bunch of the 84 guys, and we got them all together and took a picture of them. And like they were saying, we sort of bared this torch for a really long time. Like Tom Allen was saying, we've been the last team to win a national championship since I was 20, and now I'm 60 something. Like we need some more guys to sort of take this torch. So just being a part of the history of this all, I mean, that must be so awesome for you too. Cause I mean, you guys are sort of like Vegan said, this team is immortalized now. You're remembered forever. So that must be so cool for you as a Montana guy.
Yeah. And it's really special. It's awesome. And we were the ones that ultimately got it done. But I think that there's a lot of teams in the past that deserve it. I mean, look at Tommy Malott, Rylan Orr, Nolan Askelson, RJ, Troy. Like, you telling me they don't deserve it? Like, we're just the ones that got it done and made the plays at the right time. But we really are standing on the shoulders of giants, and they deserve to enjoy this just as much as we do. We're just the ones playing in the game this year. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's great perspective. I was talking with Brent Schwagert and Travis Lulay about this because, like, it takes so many different mini generations to sort of build it up, right? Like those guys went into Missoula and won to break the streak, and like that was like the first step to sort of building, the staircase that leads all the way to the top of the mountain. And one by one, I talking to Mike Ryder about this, right? Like he was on the team that won the championship in 2010, the Big Sky Championship, by winning in Missoula, and that was like the next sort of step. And so I think it's awesome that you guys have that perspective, because I know a lot of people are taking a lot of pride in what you guys have done because of their contributions too, which I think is a cool part of this. We'll certainly have more with Taco just about how this offseason's going and all that sort of stuff moving forward. But we got to talk about your camps. You guys are back for another year. You're expanding it a little bit. So tell people about this. You had a couple camps last year. It was certainly awesome what you guys were able to put on for kids around Montana. But now here you are with an expanded schedule. So tell people just a little bit more about these camps and what you like about doing them.
Yeah, first off, it's awesome that Adam and I and a lot of our teammates are in the position that kids want to come to the camp. I think that's super special, and that's our main mission, is to get as many kids to come to these camps as we can. And last year we had 2 locations. We had Billings and Bozeman, and it turned out really well. 550 plus kids, and it was awesome. It was great. We had so much fun, and we had a bunch of kids on our teammates came and they coach. I think we had a team of 10, and they came and coached and did great with the kids. So we were thinking this offseason, like, why not expand? Let's try to make as much of the state blue and gold as we can. So we went to 5 different locations. Our goal is 1,000 kids, and I think that we're going to easily attain that. And we want every kid that wants to come, we want them to come. If it's a cost issue, we'll figure it out. We have scholarships, we have donations, we have everything. So if we have to pay for it, we'll do that. And we just want every kid that wants to come to be able to come, and we want to make a mission to make a bunch of the state blue and gold and help give back and support. And this community's given everything to us. So who would we be to take advantage of that? Like, it's a great deal, and we're super excited for it.
Taco and Adam, summerfootballcamps.com. That's where you can find all the information, camp dates, frequently asked questions. That's where you can sign up to be a camper, or it's also where you can sign up if you'd like to be a sponsor as well. It's Taco and then the word A-N-D, Adam, summerfootballcamps.com. We'll post that link in the metadata on social media as well. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, you can also sign up there as well. Gotta say thanks to one of the title sponsors of the camps this year, Great Fit Taco Treat, which is an institution of Montana. They have locations in Great Falls, Helena, Billings, Missoula, Havre, and Whitefish. If you've been there, you already know it's awesome. It's delicious. One of the best places you're going to find for Tex-Mex type foods anywhere in Montana. But also, if you haven't been there, you should go. And they've been awesome with Taco. So just tell us briefly about just your relationship with those guys and how they've helped you just from a support standpoint.
Yeah, so last year they were the title sponsor for my Billings camp, and obviously there's risk going into it. It's a first year camp business, so they put some risk into it, and it turned out really well for them, and I really appreciate them helping me start that up. And this year there was no doubt that we were going to end up going with them as a title sponsor just because of loyalty and how great they treated us last year. And throughout the season, I had a partnership with them, and it was awesome. And every time I scored a touchdown, they handed out free taco at their local restaurants. And
nice.
No, that's the best part about the camps too, is you get to build connections with businesses and business owners, and that's going to last. Those relationships are going to last a lifetime. And I'm just really appreciative that people think that Adam and I are worthy of helping us out that much throughout the state, and it's awesome.
Well, if you want to find out more about Taco Treat, tacotreat.net, you'll find all the locations there as well as some of the specials that they have going on. And we'll tell you more about them as well as these camps continue to unfurl. And we'll have some off-season content with both Taco and Adam Jones here, SkylineSportsMT.com, as well as on the various social medias. But Taco, we appreciate you being here today, and thanks so much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Go Cats.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John?
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the first time since 1986, the Sentinel Spartans are the state champions of Class AA boys basketball. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Behind the overtime heroics of senior star Lincoln Rogers, the Spartans won 3 games in 3 days, including outlasting Billings West in overtime in the state championship game in the Magic City Saturday. Sentinel's 47-46 win came thanks in part to a step-back three-pointer from Rogers with 13 seconds left that gave the Spartans the 1-point advantage and etched the Sentinel Southpaw in Montana lore forever. Rogers finished with 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 blocks, and Sentinel ended the season with a 19-3 record that included its 4th state title in school history. Missoula schools fared well this weekend as Big Sky rallied to take 3rd place in girls and boys AA, each Eagles team defeating Hellgate for the trophies. Frenchtown's boys took home 3rd place in Class A, earning a trophy for the first time since 2006. In Class B, Missoula Loyola's girls rallied through the losers bracket after losing in overtime to Malta in the semis. The Breakers beat Florence for 3rd place. In Class AA girls, Bozeman Gallatin capped its undefeated title defense with a resounding 58-41 win over Billings West to finish 22-0 with a 2nd consecutive state title. In Class A, Billings Central's boys rolled Dillon to deny the Beavers a 3rd straight state title, and Havers girls put the clamps down on Billings Central to deny the Rams a 3rd straight state title. Tune in to Nuanez Now at 4 p.m. each weekday on 102.9 FM ESPN Radio.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Appreciate you hanging out. Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you live from the Rockin' R Bar, downtown Bozeman, Montana. Thanks to Blackfoot Communications for setting us up with these NCAA tournament watch parties. Blackfoot has been helping people and businesses connect to their community for more than 70 years. If you want to see how Blackfoot can help connect you to your community, visit blackfoot.com. Halftime, Iowa and Clemson. Iowa up 32-25. The sliding door theory is always fascinating to me. But Ben McCollum, once upon a time, when he was, perhaps the greatest Division II coach in the history of Division II men's college basketball, he was one of the people that was in the mix for the Montana State men's basketball job. He was in the mix when Danny Sprinkle got hired. Sprinkle got hired and did great. Went to the NCAA tournament twice, parlayed that into Utah State, and then parlayed that into Washington. McCollum was also in the mix of Montana State when Matt Logie got hired. McCollum, though, has played his cards right, and he has dabbled in various jobs, but he was getting paid so much at his D2 job that he was willing to wait till the right job came open. Well, he took Iowa, and Iowa's been unbelievable since he took over, and here they are up 32-25 in the first round against Clemson. St. John's and Northern Iowa underway. Rick Pitino's squad up 18-3 over UNI. UCF, UCLA predictably slugging it out early on here. UCLA up 13-12. Purdue up 13-10, 5 minutes in, against Queens. Queens University, by the way, is not in New York. I had that totally wrong in my head when I was watching Selection Sunday. It's in North Carolina. It was their first year playing Division I basketball. The university will combine with Elon to make a dual university of sorts. I don't really know the details behind that. But that's the plan. That's where they're at. So it's not in New York. That's all I got to say. All right, more spring football talk. We had a press conference with Brent Began last week. We'll have plenty of stuff out of the Grizz next week. The Grizz are on spring break. Grizz and Cats are both on spring break. Next week, we'll have both teams in the midst of spring ball, so we'll have interviews on both sides. So I never want it to ever be inequitable, but it's just weird how the scheduling works, right? Like the Grizz had spring ball for a couple weeks before the Cats had any press availability, so we had all Grizz all the time. And then the Cats had a press conference last week to sort of prime for spring ball because Brent Began wanted some coverage out there during this spring ball week to then lead into, or the spring break week to lead into spring ball starting on Monday. So we had a couple more snippets from Brent Began's press conference on Friday. Two specific things and one sort of broad thing. We talked a lot with Coach Began about what's the process like to repeat. This has not been a challenge for Montana State since 1984, and the landscape back then was so much different than it is now. But Montana State will be the marked team. They'll have the target on their backs. That is a unique situation for Montana State, at least over the last 40 years. Began has talked constantly about the balance between evolving and changing. He spoke again on that last Friday.
But you mentioned not changing, but evolving on both sides of the ball. Kind of what does that look like in your eyes going into this season?
Yeah, I think it's always about your personnel. I know offensively, how can we continue to lean into Justin's ability is a big piece. We got a couple guys to replace in the offensive line. So what's that gonna look like? How can we continue to highlight guys like Adam Jones, Taco Dowler? And that list doesn't stop there. That's a good thing. I think so. Identifying who those playmakers are. I think on the defensive side, I think we've definitely leveraged our defensive line, and we lose 4 of those guys. We lose all 4 starters, but in my mind, we returned 5 guys additionally that played quite a bit. And can we continue to leverage that group? And if we can't, what does that mean? Well, we return all our linebackers, all our safeties. So that's really 10 plus guys in that core of our defense that had, I think good years, but what can they do to take their game to another level? So I think it's really just identifying our personnel. You look at a lot of things in the offseason. How did teams attack us, offense to defense to offense? And can you poke some holes into schematically what we were doing? I think for the most part, we had an advantage in the special teams, but how can we increase that advantage? We get, all our specialists back, which is quite a bit different than last year. So, what's the jump that Colby can make? From a consistency perspective, I think when he needed to show up, he showed up. But can we, what can he do differently? And I think Miles ultimately had a really consistent year. But what can he do to take his game a step forward in the return game? Between Taco and Jabez, I think they had a real impact. But how can we improve that? So, I think it's improvement, but it's, I think schematically you look at how, what are some subtle tweaks that we can make to really lean into this new set of guys, which isn't all that different, but it is different at the same time.
Brett Vigen here on Nuanez Now. We're going to hear from Coach Vigen here. 2 more sound bites, so we'll just keep on rolling so we can get these in. I thought that if you're talking about what was the key to Montana State's national championship season last year, you could make a list of 10 things. Certainly Justin Lamson seamlessly replacing Tommy Millott is a huge one. The reshuffling of the offensive line after some injuries. The fact that Julius Davis and Adam Jones stayed healthy. But at the end of the day, Montana State's defense took a step forward, both because it had an unbelievable set of 4 senior defensive linemen, but because those guys were propped up to the fullest by a group of outstanding freshman corners who really took the league by storm. Well, 3 of those guys all left. They were that talented. That's not that unexpected. I think Montana State sort of expected it. And you got guys that run 10.5 seconds on the 100-meter dash, and then they're all conference players as freshmen at a premium position like corner. That's how it's going to go. Well, I thought that Jace McMillan, Carson Williams, and Seth Johnson were all keys to Montana State's national championship. They all left. Brett Vigen found a way to restock the secondary. That'll be a position to watch this spring.
Obviously, a young secondary last year, but the top side are you to get Gianni here, another young guy that to unlock his potential here in Bozeman.
Yeah, I think the secondary is interesting because we're going to be young at corner potentially, but we are very experienced as a whole. Between our 3 safety positions, strong safety, free safety, nickel, we returned 6 guys with a lot of playing experience, and that hasn't always been the case. And is there a world where one of those guys can play some corner? I think there's something to that too. And so we got to lean on that collective experience of the secondary, while it's our hope certainly that Gianni can come in and be a guy that we can count on, but we don't know that yet. He looks good in winter workouts. Obviously, we brought him in here because he looked good on high school film in particular. But this next stretch, these 5 weeks of spring ball will go a long ways to saying, where's he at? What's Corey's transition now look like? Takari continue to build upon I think a really solid junior year. And then just how do these pieces entirely fit? Not all those safeties can play corner, but a couple of them probably could. So, what does that mean to the whole secondary as we look at it?
Plenty more position breakdowns for both the Grizz and the Cats coming your way. Listen to Nuanez Now, live from the Rocket Hour Ball. We'll give you one last set of scores to end up this first round of the NCAA tournament. On the other side, don't change that dial, keep it right here. You're listening to 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
With Montana families.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Yo, thanks for kicking it. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, live from the Rockin' R Bar here in Bozeman. Thanks to Blackfoot Communications for setting us up. As always, thanks to Hayden and Tommy for getting us on the air. Thanks so much to you for listening. If you're listening in the first hour or second hour of the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. We talked all things NCAA tournament. Heard from Trisha Binford of Montana State women's basketball as her team prepares to play a WNIT game on Sunday. We also heard from Justine Lamontagne and Chris Chapany from Montana State women's skiing. Lamontagne won two national championships. And we also talked some spring football for both the Grizz and the Cats. Broke down the receivers today. Heard from Taco Dowler, Brett Began, and also talked some Grizz receivers as well. How do you go about replacing Michael Wortham? Well, you got Brooks Davis back in the fold. You certainly got Jordan Deaver as an up-and-coming guy. And you got some talented transfers led by Legend Lyon, who maybe will be able to fill the spots that have been vacated. The Grizz did it last year with a bunch of senior receivers that left after 2024, and they did it seamlessly. So can they do that again? All of that on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. We'll hash this out a little bit more next week, but Lincoln Rogers, Gatorade Player of the Year from Missoula Sentinel. No surprise, but still a tip of the cap and a testament to his great talent. Since 2013, 8 Gatorade Players of the Year on the boys' side have come from Missoula. Drake Tinkle won it twice at Hellgate. Sam Begley won it once at Sentinel. Raleigh Wooster won it twice at Hellgate. Ray Johnston won it twice at Missoula Loyola. And Rogers wins it this year at Sentinel, leading the Spartans to the Class AA state championship for the first time in 40 years. Hope your bracket's doing all right, but I'm assuming it's probably not. And we'll be back at it on Monday with full reactions from after the second round. We'll have plenty of spring football talk next week. We'll have a recap of Montana State's women's basketball as well, and whatever else we can get to. Appreciate you for hanging. Appreciate you for tuning in, as always. Thanks to Blackfoot Communications and the R Bar. We'll see you on Monday, 4 p.m. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.